The spiritual experience is about knowing who you are. And yeah, it includes all sorts of urges, all sorts of experiences that come from our past in this birth, past lives. But can we open up and have the same love and compassion for ourselves that we have for those around us? If your child or your friend came to you and said, I'm feeling really angry, or I'm feeling really greedy, or I'm feeling really selfish, you'd say, it's okay. You're human. Don't worry. I love you anyway. You're bigger than this. You'd say 100 things. Can we extend the same compassion for ourselves? And then to actually take us beyond them. Can we get out of the illusion of who we think we are? Because as I began, that's what they're all born out of. I only crave that purse if A, I identify who I am based on the type of bag I've got on my shoulder, and as long as I experience a separateness between us. It's over there with her, not over here with me. If it were over here with me, I'd feel much happier. It's that separation. We get angry because we see people in the world as objects who at that time are hurdles on our path. They've done something, they're doing something, they're not doing something. They're not behaving in a certain way. That is what we want. Saying, doing, living. But if I understand that who I am is not just this physical being, and who I am is not hooked into what that person says or does, what that manifestation of the divine, what karmic package it came in and how it's reacting. If I'm able to experience a connection rather than a separation, then the vast majority of these vices dissipate in and of themselves. And the last piece that I just wanted to mention is, as we were talking last night about understanding the world, because all of these vices have to do with us in relation to the world. We are greedy for an object. We are lustful for an object. We are angry at an object. We are attached to an object. If we're able to understand, as we always talk, that everybody in the world is just doing the best that they can with the karmic package that they've got and the toolbox that they've got, it helps us not react. Thank you. It helps us not react in that moment. Everybody with whom we're interacting is doing the very best they can. If all they've got in their toolbox is anger and impatience and fear and grabbing, that's what they're going to react to situations with. That's what they're going to present with. And so when they grab, when they hurt, when they injure, when out of fear they hurt us, we understand it's because that's all they've got in their toolbox. It's not about us. So just to conclude, take tonight and think about for you, which of these vices, or I don't even like to call them vices because that implies that horribleness about them. And they're not. They're just aspects of us. It only becomes horrible when we let them run the show. When we convince ourselves that we are them. I am my anger. I am my greed. I am my selfishness. Otherwise, they're there. They exist. They exist because of our human condition. They exist because of the past. They exist because of so many things. But tonight, take a few minutes and ask yourself, which of these are really causing my defeat in life? Which of these are keeping me from experiencing the joy, the peace, the truth of who I am? And how can I not wage a war against them, not fight them and do battle and conquer them, but understand that they're part of me? And just pull back the curtain. It's like the Wizard of Oz, which is my favorite example. You know, the wizard is only a tyrant when he's behind his screen. He's only able to terrorize people until that curtain gets pulled back. And then what do we see? This tiny little nothing man with a projector. Terrifying only when we don't look at him. And this is what all of that stuff that plagues us inside of ourselves, that makes us feel dark. That's what it all is. Whether we call it anger, whether we call it greed, whatever we call it. It's like the wizard, this tiny little thing. Some sanskara, some experience, some karma, something. But it's got this projector onto our whole awareness that I am that. Or I have to do this. No. But we have to have the courage to pull back the screen and look at it. Otherwise it's going to tyrannize us forever. And that's for us what the holiday is about. Is can you pull back the screen on whichever of these is tyrannizing you, and not cut its head off, but recognize it's just this tiny little thing with a projector. And my arms are big enough, my heart's big enough, my being's big enough to embrace that also. And then what you find is the tyranny dissipates. Ravan himself isn't only those 10 things. Those are his 10 heads. But as I said on the Ghat, and this is an important point, Ravan was an incredible scholar. He was a brilliant Vedic expert. Ravan was a demon only because of these 10 heads. So Ram represents the opposite. Ram is seen as the real epitome of the righteous, the dharmic, whether it's king, whether it's son, whether it's brother. We don't have time tonight to go into all the qualities of Ram, but one of them is perhaps the most important, which is his own love. Whether it's love for his kingdom, love for his family, love for his father. I mean, think about it. How did the Ramayana begin? With Ram, who was about to be coronated, about to become king, being told, because you've got this jealous, evil stepmother, you now have to go and spend 14 years in the forest. Most of us would respond to that with something other than, okay, your wish is my command. Most of us would experience some level of, what? I mean, like, I'm the good one. I'm the one who's about to become king. She's the evil, jealous one. Banish her. Why me? This is how most of our lives work. But Ram didn't do that. Ram went, and he went full of love for his father who did this. Now, there's a much longer story, maybe tomorrow we'll go into it, about the whole story of karma, actually, and how and why the Ramayana began like that. But we won't go there now. What do you need to defeat Ravan? What do you need to defeat those 10 heads inside you? You tell me. It's not strength. It's not about chopping their heads off. It's that same love. It's the same love. But instead of it being the love for my kingdom, my father, for Dharma, like that, it's the love for the truth of who you are, love for God, love for that divinity that lives within you. Because if you really love that, then you don't let yourself get run over by these things. If you really love God, not just outside, but if you love God inside you, inside all of those around you, that love itself is the cure to all of this. Can you be angry and in love at the same time? At the same person? I mean, you can be in love theoretically, but in the moment that you are furious, the love has been kind of pushed away. You know it's there. I mean, you know, yes, in theory, I love you, but in this moment, what I am experiencing is fury. If I really love, doesn't mean I don't get angry. But it means that I don't let myself burn with anger. Somebody hurts us. They've already made the mistake. Anger is punishing yourself because someone else made a mistake. It's saying, it didn't hurt bad enough the first time, let's give you a double whammy. Whatever they did, it wasn't bad enough, I know. Let me light this fire inside me and make it worse. So if I really love myself, yeah, if I really love the person in front of me, chances are I'm never going to shout at her. But that's a lot harder. Because we've got all these expectations from other people, and our love tends to not necessarily be quite so unconditional. But at least within ourselves, can you have that love? That you don't want to burn with anger. You don't want to kill yourself, spiritually, emotionally, and also physically. Can you have love for the divine in the form of everyone? And if you do, then people are no longer objects. If I'm loving God in you, then you're not an object whose purse I have to steal because I want it. You're not an object over whom I lust, who I want to fulfill my sensual pleasures. You're not an object standing in my path who I've got to remove out of the way, or on whose head I have to step in order to get ahead. So love is the answer. Surprise, it always is. Whatever the question is, love is the answer. And here it really, really is. Because when we see these qualities in us with love, they dissipate.